You're on, Co.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our very first virtual DMALA meeting. We were just talking about, how we're going to get this going. And it has been 1 year. It's been 1 year since we met in person in Hollywood. And it seems like it's been longer than that. So I'm really glad that Mike Mondragon could put this together for us, and that Michael White, a very familiar face to all of us who come to the monthly meetings, was able to put together a presentation. So we wouldn't go longer than a year without getting the whole DMALA family back together. And that includes, all of the members that came to our Hollywood meetings and any new members that are joining us for the first time. So yeah, glad to be back on track.
Worldwide for the first time, maybe.
I should introduce, let me introduce the next person in here. Katie Isabel is, I don't know, Mondragon, is she right below me?
I see her below you, yeah.
Great.
Hi guys, it's good to see everyone again. But yeah, thanks for coming. I don't have any announcements yet, but maybe I'll think of something as we get going. But I'm just happy that we're doing this again. I've missed everyone.
And I should probably also, of course, people probably recognize his face from the guy that takes tickets at the door at our regular Hollywood meetings. Steve is not taking your ticket tonight, but he's here.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to DMALA, once again online in the virtual world.
And Warren Heaton, also in the green, looks like the control room.
And the DMALA shirt.
There you go.
We call it the space station at CBS. So, but yeah, hi everybody. A quick reminder: coming up March 31st is the Adobe Video Community event that Adobe's now having on a monthly basis. So I just want to make sure you know about that. And a link to it's going to, let's see, Michael's going to put some info for it in tonight's event, but it'll also be on our Facebook page. It'll be pinned at the top for the DMALA Facebook page after this event.
Yeah, and it's also on the Twitter as well. We posted it on there as well.
And yeah, someone commented green screen. You can keep my shirt out.
Yes, yeah. Perfect.
And we're really fortunate. Of course, most people know Michael White, aka Hello Trilly from Twitter, as one of our members of the DMALA crew, but also, he's an amazing designer and recently professional game designer, visual designer, and really glad that he was able to put together tonight's presentation for everyone. So thanks, Mike.
Hello.
And really, this whole thing comes down to the shoulders of Mondragon, who is there from it looks like his beer baseball background. Thank you.
My studio, thank you.
Thank you to Michael for putting this together, because it's his technology that is both on working the beer baseball.
Yeah, Beer Baseball blog. It's on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific. And then Carvers and Creators, which I just literally jumped off of.
Prior to this?
Pumpkin carving. And we just hang out and we just create stuff for an hour and a half. So like I had the Food Network, the 2020 Halloween Wars winner, the 2019 Outrageous Pumpkins winner, and then my other friend Matt Harper, who was a finalist for Halloween Wars 2019. So yeah, they just get together and to carve and stuff like that. So we've been doing this for about a year. So it's all
carving
pumpkins and butternut squash, and we've had other people that have done like clay and other artists on there. So it's been great. It's been a lot of fun.
Do you have an Instagram?
It is
Great
Carver's Creators. Look on Instagram. Yeah, you can see all of our wonderful work there.
And although we can't see everybody like we can at Hollywood, it's so great to see these names populating the comments section.
Yeah, it really is.
Joe, I see Ryan's name in here. And I know that there are so many other people who are just, like this is their regular thing. And they had emailed me all year saying, hey, just to let you know that we miss you guys. We miss coming to like a monthly event that is social and has some interesting creative breakdowns as well. And the 6 of us, we all miss each other. It's mutual. So thanks, Michael. Should we jump right into it?
Yeah, let's go for we have 4 videos from Michael going through the steps of EmberGen. Do you want to preface anything, Michael?
Just really quickly, yeah, I'm just taking you through a process of how I would normally work in EmberGen, which is starting with Design and Illustrator, moving that into Cinema 4D, and then bringing that into EmberGen and just sort of playing around and seeing what's possible, and then a final render from After Effects to see what's possible with motion graphics and visual effects using EmberGen in your workflow.
Great. Well, let's get into it. Here's video 1 of 4.
What's up, guys? My name is Michael White. I'm an artist and art director, and I love video games. I do visual design for Riot Games, sometimes for Nifty Games, and other people. I love games, if you can't tell. Today, we're going to talk about EmberGen, which is one of my favorite new softwares I've been learning during this whole pandemonium, pandemic. I hope you guys are staying safe. Do whatever you can do to sort of keep your energies up, stay safe, all that stuff. So let's start. I'm going to start in Illustrator. Let's see here. So I like to design first in Illustrator because, usually I'm making something custom. You could, of course, make text in Cinema, which is where we're headed, like Motex or model some geometry. But honestly, I consider Illustrator like my secret weapon just because, I can take these vectors, I can really start to design and play, and a lot of these points will translate into vertices and in Cinema or whatever 3D software you're using. So I'm gonna make my cool logo here, convert to outlines, and we gotta make it cool. The other reason I like Illustrator is because I can start to see the little imperfection in people's fonts. No judgment, maybe a little bit, but mostly it's to do stuff like this. Is to make it really feel like it's something special. And now we have our super cool logo. Maybe we can turn it a little bit. Don't get me started. That kind of thing. Maybe a little less, more. I don't know. So I'm going to take this and save it. Here's my practice version. I'm going to save it down to Illustrator 8. So I have no problems with it. Now, of course, there's other ways to do that. You could use the plugin CV Art Smart from Cineversity. But honestly, I've been doing it this way for a long time. And sometimes the more plugins you add to a workflow, it can create problems for people. So there's my cool logo. I'm now gonna import that into Cinema 4D. So in Cinema, file merge objects. Just leave it at the base settings are fine. Just gonna zero this out. Press the O button to center it in frame. So what I'm gonna do next is create an extrude, make it a child, and oftentimes I would say you have to use a connect object and vectors depending on how they're grouped, how they're connected, how their paths are connected. Software may not always understand like who's doing what. So the connect object just sort of brings all that together. And I'm gonna take my extrude, make this maybe 2. It's not that. I'm gonna change the offset to 2. Maybe 1. Ultimately, where we're headed is I want to set this logo, if you will, on fire and bring it into. I want to set this logo on fire. So what I want to do is bring this geometry into EmberGen where we're going to do that. So now that we have our super cool logo here, should we animate it so that it's not just on fire, but that it sort of builds on? Yes, I think we should animate it. So really quickly, let's animate this. I'm gonna increase the size to 10 by 10 by 10. The O key, center my camera. I think what I would like to do is add, Jonathan Winbush does this cool tutorial on how to add like a wireframe look, and I think I want something like that for this. I want to make this dark type with these purple outlines so that the fire will sort of be the hero once we get to EmberGen. So what I'm going to do really quickly is Shift C to bring up, there it is, the atom array. I'm going to make my extrude a child of the atom array. I'm going to also duplicate my extrude so that it remains a hero. Take the atom array and very quickly change the settings to maybe 0.5. Let's see. If you look here, so we'll have like sort of this outline once we add shaders to it and stuff. That. What I also want to do is group these, Alt-G into a null. This logo with outline. You hear a bunch of chewing in the background because my dog has a treat and she's really enjoying it. So I think I'm gonna use old school method for time's sake, the old poly effects destruction, and let's see, I'm gonna group that again. Call it logo animated. Do not judge my naming system. And then I need a plane effector with the linear fall off. And tell my poly effects, you're going to use that. Oh, look at that. Wondrous destruction. And what we want to do is rotate this 90 degrees. Hold down shift to get more quick results. So snap to 90. And then I'm going to change the length on my linear fill here so that when I move it, oh wait, not that way, this way. So let's see, I wanna do a little more here. Linear field. Let's see, sorry, my plane effector. Add a scale. Make this -1, -1. So that we start from nothing. Let's see, maybe this way. Yeah, but I don't want the position, so I'm going to turn that off. So what I'm going for here is like, as this fire builds, that the geometry is also quickly building. So it's like a, oof, you know, and everybody's building on really quickly. So I'm going to render that out as a separate pass. So that's as much as we'll do for animation. I'm going to quickly add some redshift materials. I'm going to stick with the defaults here. And on my, let's see, on my main extrude type, I want that to be black. And then, oh, that's cool. And I'm just gonna, on a PC, control click my shader to quickly duplicate it. And I'm gonna make a purple one. Be nice if it has some incandescence, huh? And then I'm gonna add that shader to my atom array. Like that. So you won't get to watch it like me, but I'm gonna render this out. But before I do that, what I want to do is select my extrude here, and I'm actually going to duplicate one for export purposes. Hold down Control to get a duplicate, and what I want to do is hit the C key so it converts that to one object. This will be for EmberGen. I'm going to hit File, Export as an FBX, and I'm going to leave this at the defaults, but you want to make sure that triangulate is on. EmberGen is going to need triangulated geometry. I'm going to hit OK, and then I want to save that in my test folder as an FBX, just for purposes of time. And then we're going to jump into EmberGen. Into EmberGen. Click the icon. So already you can see EmberGen starts you off with pretty cool fire simulation. And to me, this speaks to sort of like one of the things I really like about it is that you're not starting from zero. There's tons of parameters you can adjust. The fuel you can adjust, turn the smoke on and off, all these things. And one of the best things is the presets. So I'm gonna go. Nope, we don't want to save this. Presets, and let's take like the dry ice for example. And I've used Maya Fluids for years, Turbulence FD and Cinema. I've only really dabbled in Houdini, but you know, to just have something start with these parameters, and it's very responsive, just great. You can just sit in here and just play with smoke all day. So EmberGen was built to sort of be able to export these types of simulations for games. You can export your sprite sheets, flipbooks to Unity or to Unreal Engine. But what I want to talk about is using EmberGen for motion graphics and visual effects. And for today's purposes, I'm going to render straight from the EmberGen software. Again, Jonathan Winbush has a great tutorial on how to bring these simulations as VDBs into your software and have like full control in 3D space. But I'm just going to render straight from EmberGen today. So let's see. Let's show some more presets. No, I don't want to save. There's just some great stuff in here. More presets. Magic Shockwave. Again, as a motion artist, like sometimes you're gonna need wipes, elements. I'm gonna hit the R key to restart the simulation. Things to make your motion graphics, feel more interesting, and to have this sort of at your fingertips in your toolkit. Let's see, hit the R key again and maybe adjust the colors. What about some blues? Blue. What's that? Yeah. I just personally find this super useful. Create mats. If I want to have something wipe into frame and use this just as a travel mat or alpha mat. This is great. So what I want to do is, I want to find a preset called Magic Fire. And again, another one of my favorite presets. And what we're going to do is basically, this fire is emitting from a spherical shape, a sphere. I'm going to delete that node, and I'm going to click and drag, click mesh, which is basically going to allow me to import a custom geometry. I'm going to import the FBX, which we already exported, and I'm going to tell it to open mesh. Let me go to DMALA. I already exported FBX, and very important, you have to click this voxelize button, and now we have fire emitting from our DMALA geometry. And what I'm going to do is under simulation, there's just I get excited because there's just so many great things. One of my favorite things also is looping. So I could tell EmberGen, hey, I want to loop the simulation from a certain period, wherever you think it looks best. And look at that, I get a seamless loop. Now, to be fair, sometimes this can be a little buggy, and the reason is whatever algorithm or noise or information they're using to sort of create this look, it's going to need time to get from its starting point, with one set of information, to then burn as fire and then get back to that to create the seamless loop. So you're going to need to give it enough frames to be able to loop. And I feel like the more frames you give it, then the better that's going to happen. So we don't need to loop for today's purposes. So no looping. What we are going to do is adjust our vorticity. So I'm going to turn that down. Yeah, there we go. And another one of my favorite settings, which I already passed, is, let's see, where is that? Well, since we're here, we'll talk about upscaling. So this fire looks pretty good, but you can start to see it break apart in some places, or possibly not hold up. And you can use upscaling to add more voxels so you could have an even more refined fire if you needed that. And so what I'm looking for actually is the time. Oh, here we go. Time step. So this fire looks fine, but I watch a lot of Harry Potter and shows with magic, and what I think is fun is to have like a slow explosion. So basically could use the time step to slow this simulation. Oh, and I broke it. To slow the simulation down or speed it up, which looks kind of crazy, but as I start to increase the value, it will slow down. Now I may have to adjust like the turbulence or the settings to keep the look that I want it to have, but I'm just going to double it for now from 60 to 120 just to have it slightly slower. Slightly slower. So if I hit the R key, I'll have my fire build and start. And so what I want to do is I want to render this not as a flipbook or sprite, but rather as a render that After Effects would understand, animated PNG sequence or other. And so under capture, I'm going to click on, hit the plus button and tell it, hey, I want a render. So you have all these separate passes that you could have, but I want a pass that combines all those things. And then I'm going to, let's see, I think you click and drag here, which allows you to then export. You connect this RGB and A, which will give you the RGB as well as an alpha. Click on export image, and you can see here we do have generate flipbooks, save flipbooks, file name. We're gonna call this, I'm really good at naming things, just so you know, purple fire. How you like that? And so I want to export a sequence. Not sure how many frames. Let's see, maybe 120 frames. And the sprite, so for our purposes, sprite size, whereas you normally might maybe render a smaller or larger sprite, we're going to think of this as like our resolution for After Effects. So what I like to do is render these at like 4K settings, just so I have that much more resolution to work with. And so I might adjust the vorticity here even a little more. Let's see. Is it the large vorticity? We're just experimenting at this point. If I turn this, oh, there we go. That's nasty. So let's see. Lots of vorticity. Low vorticity. Oh, here we go. That feels good. So I'm going to now render this out and bring my Cinema 4D render as well as my EmberGen render all together in After Effects. Okay, here we are in After Effects. I've imported my logo render as well as the fire. What I'm going to do is create a new composition with a purple background. I'm going to drag my logo and fire in. And then the first thing I want to do is, let's see. I want to select the logo and time remap just to have some tails. And then you can see the fire. It's looking pretty cool. So you could use that obviously as like a matte or something to reveal if you want it. I'm going to place the fire on top. And our fire is 4K, so should be nice and smooth, lots of resolution. If I look at the very beginning of the render, oh here, one of my favorite shortcuts, Shift question mark, center composition. I'm just gonna roughly kind of eyeball the fire. Let's see. As the voxels, just as they're starting to burn, you can see they form the letters. So Of course, we could get that to match more accurately, but for today's purposes, that's great. I love additive and screen layers, so I'm going to try add. Oh, wait, did that work? Oh, you know why? It's because although my background color is purple, I need an actual solid, purple solid. And then what you would see from the normal transfer mode to additive. So now it's recognizing that background versus an alpha. But I think I'm going to go with screen. And then what I'm going to do is Control Y to create another solid that's sort of a lighter purple, lavender even. And then I want to blur that with fast box blur. And maybe that's on screen or add as well. Add screen. And then the actual logo, I'm going to add a little glow, layer styles, outer glow, just so it pops and separates from the background. I want that to be white, screen. I'm going to add some size to it. Yeah, that looks nice. And then what I want to do is I'm going to duplicate the logo quickly. I'm actually going to go layer and remove remove the outer glow I just added, because I'm just going to fake a reflection. I mean, you have to do it. So I'm just going to change the scale, lower the opacity, do a quick mask, invert that mask, Control Shift F to add some blur. Now we're getting somewhere nice and dramatic. Move the mask down and up. Like so. And so we'll get this. The logo transitions in, but if you notice, the fire is taking a second to sort of start because it's a slow motion fire. So what we want to do is, if I look at my time remap, the logo's transition only takes a second. So I'm going to apply time remap to the fire as well. Let's see, time remapping. And what I want to do is, when it does that initial burst, sort of like here, I want to have that happen fast, and then the rest of it will be slow. So I'm going to set a keyframe, and I'm going to drag those keyframes here. So this is my new out point. Hit the letter N, and so one more thing, couple more things I want to do is Control Alt Y to add an adjustment layer, and Control Alt, let's see, for null. That's right. Control Alt Shift Y. And I want to parent everybody, not the adjustment layer, all my renders to the null. For my adjustment layer, maybe we'll add some, let's see. Just want to add maybe some chromatic aberration. So what we're going to do, now we're getting somewhere. Just a little bit like that, nothing crazy. So I'm going to set a keyframe. So we'll start with some chromatic aberration. Set it to 0. And then with my null, I just want to have it scale, give it some life, scale from that 100 to 20. Maybe that's too big, 115. And let's kind of preview and see where we are. So of course, we rendered fire from, oh wait, I know one more thing I wanted to do, which is on my logo, what I'm gonna do is add a hue and saturation. So when the logo transitions in, I want it to be white hot. So I'm gonna colorize it. I want the color to be as close to purple as possible. That's our color today. Purple, purple, purple. Don't mind me. And I'm going to keyframe it to white, but see how it will transition from white to a little bit of purple back to close to its original color. So we'll set a keyframe for its lightness. So as it's transitioning in, we have it as white. So it's white hot. Start here. And then once it's done or almost done, we'll hit 0 to bring it back. So we get this kind of build in from white to purple. Fire comes up and we are super cool. And what I'm going to do is copy this to my reflection. Paste. I think that's going to work. Is it? Doesn't want to work. So what we're going to do instead is copy from the actual effects window, copy, and then hit paste. And then those keyframes should work. And now we get the reflection as well as the main logo rendered. So let's preview that. And let's see, we can show me. So of course, we're just scratching the surface here of what's really possible. EmberGen has smoke effects, fire. There's so much more you could do, but again, in a motion graphics, even visual effects workflow, I do think EmberGen is a huge asset in production. I think it's speed, and also there's a ton of parameters that we didn't even get into that would help it, you know, bring some life to your scene. So let's finish. There we go. So you can check out the website, Jenga Effects, EmberGen. Just Google it, learn more. And honestly, they're doing a lot of cool things right now. They do have animated FBX files. There's a lot happening with it. So check out the site, keep up with it. Thanks for tuning in and chatting with us.
Nice.
Nice. That was awesome. That was awesome.
Cool. Yeah, I hope you guys were able to take something from that. I literally try to use EmberGen every chance I get. So, yeah.
So nice. Yeah, this is great. It was great to see you working, you know, just kind of go through your process. And for everyone who's, you know, an older member or a member from the past, when we used to meet in person, this is what we do. We go through something creative, take a look at some little process, whether it's for a project or just using those elements that were done on a different project, you know, applying it to something for a presentation for the group. For people who are new, if you ever wanted to give your own presentation, you know, let us know. Just DM Mondragon or get us a link to our DMALA mail at gmail.com, and we'll follow up with you. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, people were asking about the EmberGen. That's the direct link to it right there.
We'll be back at Barnsdale someday.
At some point.
So, Mike, question about EmberGen though. So what do you find yourself spending the most time on? I mean, do you do you take a lot of time to like design those fire styles, or?
Yeah, so EmberGen is cool because it's deep, and well, there's a couple things going on. Which the UI right now, there's kind of a lot of parameters to look at, and they're actually currently redesigning the interface to make it more user friendly, to make just to simplify it overall. So, and I think that's going to be really useful. But that's the cool thing is like it has enough parameters that you can really control it. Like coming from using Maya Fluids and other simulation software, I don't know, there's something just really easy about having those presets. So it's like you're not starting from zero. It's like I need fire, I need smoke, I need an explosion, I need mist, I need fog. You kind of have something similar that exists, and you can go in there and go, oh, okay, I want to keyframe that fog to move in X or to move in Z, or a little faster, a little slower, and you have all these controls that you know that exist within the software, and then it renders really quickly. I didn't actually show the render time, but it renders like that. The 4K fire, I rendered about 240 frames, I think, and it was like less than 20 minutes or something. So, I mean, to me, that's super useful because deadlines are, always there. Clients want what they want. It's always more, better, faster now. So it's nice to have something with that much control, that much high-end production that I can get out really, really quickly. So.
You mentioned a tutorial by Jonathan Wimbush.
Yeah.
Do you know offhand where we can find those? Is he on YouTube
he's notorious. He has actually a ton of tutorials for cinema, for Unreal Engine, and a few for EmberGen. And yeah, I mentioned him because he's one of the few people actually that I found that had a tutorial on how to get a VDB, which is all the volume pixels out of EmberGen and into another software like Cinema 4D, and then actually be able to render that in 3D space. So I'm showing like a 2D render, but technically you could have a camera moving, you could fly through the fire and get all the 3D depth if you use the VDB information. And to add to his tutorial, he also uses Redshift to render, which is super useful. So side note, Redshift is like by far my favorite renderer of choice. It's fast. I have very few, no problems really, but Redshift. So yeah. What up?
Great. I think, well, I mean, unless there are some questions from people that are on the live stream. Ryan's asking, how big do the Sims get on average for your storage? Mike?
I'm actually gonna look right now because I'm not sure if you mean the information, like the project file or the actual render, but at least I can tell you
the sim cache. I'm sure if you're rendering out.
Yeah, so that's a fair question, but like I'm looking at the project file, which says 65 kilobytes, which is, I mean, it's nothing. And then render, let's see, for those 4K render of 240 frames of the fire did come out.
It looks like there is no sim cache, so you're constantly it's constantly producing that through its GPU. So I guess that could be good.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I think we will. I think we'll probably close it out now. I want everyone to have a great month, and we will be back next month with something like this, just informal, get together, see some faces, and see you all again then. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.